Welcome back. It's been just over 2 weeks since my last video. I needed to wait a little bit to get my blood drawn because I was just recovering from a cold. They recommend that you wait about 2 weeks if you're suffering any type of flu or cold-like symptoms. They want to make sure that your white blood cells are in tip-top shape and your immune system isn't already being aggressive to try to fight off that bacteria or virus. So I needed to wait a little bit, and because I live in Wisconsin, they do actually shipped my blood to Florida, and it takes about 2 weeks for them to, between getting that blood and then doing the testing and then shipping it back to Wisconsin. It takes about 2 weeks, so it's just over 2 weeks. When I met with my nutritionist, she explained that the reason why typically no two people will have the same list of what they can and cannot eat is because we all have different nutritional needs. For one person, especially for instance if you're pregnant, you're going to have a lot different nutritional need than someone that's not. If you are heavy into sports, that's going to affect your nutritional needs for cell growth, different than someone that isn't very active. If your sleep pattern is poor versus someone that gets good night's sleep at night, they will have less of an issue with cell growth than someone that doesn't sleep well. Obviously, our genes definitely play a factor. Stress plays a factor. Hopefully you have less than that than I do. So she explained those things, and then she also, because I do have some autoimmune disorder, again, I have rosacea, which is a skin condition, and she explained the reason why a lot of the autoimmune disorders happen in relationship to our diets is because if we are consuming foods that our body sees as invasions to our body, and they think that it's something that's actually bad for our body, when in fact it really shouldn't be. We can't control our cells, and they continue to try to fight off something even though they shouldn't try to fight it off. And then if that continues, if we're consuming those same foods repetitively day after day, week after week, and our body is in constant fight mode, then over that accumulative effect over a long period of time, you can start developing some of the autoimmune disorders. You've heard that term before. Some of those would be lupus, Crohn's disease, celiac disease, Pott's disease, MS. I already mentioned my rosacea. Psoriasis is another skin condition that's affected by that. Type 1 diabetes is also affected, is an autoimmune disorder. So those are just a few, and there's a ton more. So our sensitivities are very different, so of course our lists are going to be very different. What I concluded is I don't think anybody that has this test done is going to like what's on their list. Between comparing my colleagues' list and my list, we have a lot of the similarities, but a lot of differences, but we both were able to take a look at them and both concluded that there were a lot of things on our list that we eat a lot and love more that we can now not eat for 6 months. So my nutritionist gave me my list, and this is what it looks like. And as you can see, the my severe list, my moderate list, my mild list almost goes onto another page. And this section here, my green, I got a lot. I feel like my list is better than my colleagues because I do like meat. I actually love food. It's just, I totally have a love-hate relationship with food. I love it. Food does not love me back. That's the whole reason for me taking this test. But I am a meat eater and I do like meat. So I can't have beef. but that's okay. I'm not supposed to have that. No red meats for my cancer anyway. And so I rarely would eat that to start with, but I can have chicken and turkey. I can have pork. So I'm pretty happy. She isn't able to eat any of those. I think she can eat veal. Point being is, I don't think anybody would be happy with their list. I would be very surprised if they were 100% happy with their list. There's far too many things in here that I would much prefer to, I want to take a marker and swap these all around, but I can't do that if I want to get better, if I want to give this a really strong chance. So I am committed. I am going to do this. Remember when I told you in the last video that the severe column, everybody needs to eliminate those for 6 months. Some people can eat some of their moderates 1 to 2 times a month, and their milds 1 to 2 times a week. Well, because, and then I said, but I had mentioned that the moderate and the mild can vary. The greens are go. Those are go for anybody. But the moderate and mild can vary. Well, I'm one of those people that it varies. Because my mild is so long, she has told me that looking at this big picture, I have what's called leaky gut. And I'll describe that and go into that after I learn a lot more about it myself. I'll talk about that in another video. But because my mild is so long, she is saying that I need to eliminate my severe and my moderate completely for 6 months. And on a minimum, she recommends that I eliminate my mild for 3 months. That's a lot of food. That's a lot of things that I love in there. Black pepper. I don't know how to cook without black pepper. Garlic. Oh my gosh. How do you cook without garlic? It also, the test also tests for gluten. It tests for Candida albicans, which I do not have I don't have a sensitivity to that. It tests for the lactose. It's actually the casein in the whey. I cannot have any dairy, and I cannot have any gluten, and it's mostly because I can have parts of those things, but the ingredients that I can't have are found in all dairy products. And for the gluten, I can have some of the ingredients in a glutenized food, but because there's some that I can't, those particular ingredients are in all gluten and gluten-free products, so I cannot basically have any kind of bread. That's going to be a challenge. I will fill you in on, once I go to the grocery store and start reading ingredients and finding things that I can eat, I will share those with you. I also had testing done for antibiotics, molds, and a bunch of other things. Essentially, my husband and I said that if there were some things that didn't show up on my list, we would really question the authenticity of this and whether it was really a good test to try. And those items actually ended up in at least one of my severe, moderate, or mild columns. One of them was chocolate. I just have always had issues with chocolate, and that's on my list. Another one was actually white potatoes, and those are on my list. I've had the other one that showed up on my list that I didn't expect, that I can confirm, I know I have a sensitivity to, is actually one medication. I didn't know I was sensitive to penicillin, which is I have friends that have told me for many, many years that I should not be taking a bagel or a piece of bread that has a little bit of mold on it and just pick it off and eat the bread. They've been like, just throw it away. And I why? I'd always say, well, it's made, I mean, penicillin's made from mold, so it's not bad for you. Well, guess what's on my sensitivity list? That's one of the molds that you would find on bread. Oh my gosh, not that I let my bread get moldy frequently, but occasionally. And I also have a sensitivity to penicillin. And then there's another medication in that same family of medications that I can confirm I have a sensitivity to, and it is on there. It's on there. When I had one of my surgeries from when I had my cancer reconstruction, one of the drains that I had in my abdomen became infected, so they put me on an oral antibiotic, and holy moly, that was worse than the whole surgery, the drains, anything. I was so incredibly sick. That medication I am sensitive to it. So there's a lot of things with my results that I can confirm and feel pretty confident that this isn't just a hokey pokey kind of thing, hocus pocus kind of thing. So we'll see. I'll just keep you following along. I need to go to the grocery store and try to look for some of these foods that don't have ingredients in it that I can't consume. I will be meeting next week already, actually in like 4 days, with my nutritionist again. She doesn't want to overwhelm us, so she gives us our list to start with, lets us kind of absorb the shock of it, and then kind of, have some time to play with it, and then come back and spend 2 hours where she checks your weight. She checks not just your weight on the scale, she'll check your muscle mass and your water retention. So she does a lot of measurements and does use the scale, and then she lets us know the percentages of what our weight is, fat versus water versus muscle. So I'm excited to do that. That's a 2-hour a 2-hour session with her. So I meet with her in like 4 days. But I wanted to at least do this quick little video and let you know that I did get my test results back. I'm not happy with them. I don't think anybody will. But one thing that I will say is, if you feel like you cannot commit yourself to this test and this opportunity to try to see if your stomach can tolerate foods, if you're not eating the same foods, don't invest in having it done, because it's expensive. And if you feel like you just couldn't do that, if you just couldn't be committed to that, then I would recommend that you just not get it done at all, or postpone it until you feel like you can, a different season in your life that you feel like you can. But I really feel like I'm excited about this. One other example that I thought was confirming this for me was, remember in one of the other videos I said that I've tried warm lemon juice to drink in the morning, and then the celery juice as well, because a lot of people have had really good results with those types of options to help your digestive system going and absorption of your nutrients and whatnot. A nice detox, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I had done lemon by itself, lemon water, warm lemon water by itself for a long period of time. It seemed to help for a little while, but then it all of a sudden wasn't helping again. Well, lemon is on my sensitivity list. But then I added in the celery juice, and I was doing the celery juice all by itself, and that seemed to help for a while, but then didn't. So then I thought, well, why don't I do both? Well, if the celery juice was helping, it ended up not helping me, because then I added in that lemon that I'm sensitive to. I'm not sensitive to the celery. So now at least I know what combinations of foods I can put together and have it be healthy for me and not hurtful for me. So that was just another thing that I wanted to share as far as my feeling like, this is working. I mean, it makes sense to me based on how I had been eating. So here we go.